I wasn't planning to tell anyone this. Not now, not ever. But last night changed everything. It wasn't the first time I questioned the kind of woman I'd become. But it was the first time I stopped pretending I didn't want it. I know how it sounds. And trust me, I hated myself for even thinking it. But when I caught Ben doing that in the hotel room, and saw the way Liam looked at me after, like he knew, like he understood, something inside me broke. And maybe something else came alive. I never imagined I'd be the kind of woman who'd cross a line like this. Not in a million years. I was raised better. I knew better. But knowing isn't the same as feeling. And that night, I felt everything. My name's Rachel. I'm 45. I've been married to Jake for 8 years. It's a good marriage on paper. Bills are paid. We don't fight. We sleep in the same bed. But we stopped reaching for each other a long time ago. That part of us just faded. Quietly, like an old photograph left in the sun. Jake has a son from his first marriage, Liam. He's 22, kind, polite. Always kept his distance, especially around me. I used to think it was because he resented me. Now I'm not so sure. Last weekend, we traveled together for Jake's cousin's wedding. It was supposed to be a short trip, one night in a hotel outside the city. But something came up at Jake's hospital shift last minute. So he asked if Liam and I could check in first, get settled, and wait for him to join later. It sounded simple. Just one night. Just a room with 2 beds. But when we got there, the hotel had overbooked. Only one room left, one bed. Jake told us on speakerphone to make do, and laughed like it was no big deal. And it shouldn't have been. We weren't strangers. We were family. At least, we were supposed to be. But that night, in that room, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. And the way Liam looked at me after. It felt like a secret we'd both been keeping, without ever saying a word. Most people would say I have a good life. Nice house, steady husband, quiet evenings. And for a while, I believed that was enough. Jake is a good man. He works hard, provides. But somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing each other. I don't mean with our eyes. I mean really seeing, like we used to. He asks how my day was, but never waits for the answer. Touches my back in passing, but never lingers. We share a bed, but not warmth. We share dinners, but not laughter. We used to talk for hours. Now, it's mostly silence. Sometimes I sit across from him at the table and wonder if he notices I've changed my hair. He doesn't. I tell myself it's just how marriage goes. People grow comfortable, busy, distracted. But comfort can feel a lot like neglect when you're the one still waiting to be noticed. I didn't get married to feel invisible. But that's what I've become in this house. A quiet fixture in the background. That's why, when Jake asked me to go ahead to the hotel with Liam, I didn't protest. It was easier than waiting at home, pretending we were still close. At least the hotel would be a change of scenery. I didn't expect anything more than a night of awkward small talk and early sleep. I certainly didn't expect to feel something again. Not with him. Not like that. But something about that room, and the silence between us, was different. Liam had always been polite with me. Respectful. But distant, like he wasn't sure how to exist in the same space with a woman who wasn't his mother. I never pushed. I figured he needed time, and I didn't want to force a bond that might never come. Still, I always noticed the way he avoided eye contact at family dinners. Or how he'd wait until I left the kitchen before making himself a sandwich. He was quiet, but not cold. And when he did speak, it was always thoughtful. Measured. Jake used to say Liam was too sensitive. Like that was a flaw. But I never saw it that way. In fact, I admired it. There was something steady about him. The way he listened, the way he didn't rush to fill silence with empty words. He noticed things, little things. I remember one time, months ago, I mentioned that I liked a specific tea I hadn't been able to find in stores anymore. I'd forgotten I'd even said it. A week later, it showed up on the kitchen counter. Jake never asked about it. But Liam glanced at me while passing by and simply said, "Figured you might want some." That was the first time I felt seen. And I hated that it came from someone who wasn't my husband. Even worse, that it felt good. So when we ended up alone at the hotel, just the two of us in that small, dimly lit room, I expected the usual distance. Maybe even awkward silence. But that night, Liam surprised me. He didn't pull away like he used to. He offered to carry my bag, asked if I wanted the side of the bed farther from the window. He joked about the terrible wallpaper, smiled when I laughed. It wasn't much. But it was more attention than I'd felt in months. And I knew, somewhere deep inside, this wasn't going to be just another quiet night. It started with silence. Not the awkward kind we used to share. But something quieter. Softer. Like neither of us wanted to break it. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through my phone, pretending to be busy. Liam stood by the window, hands in his pockets, eyes on the rain streaking down the glass. The lamp cast a golden glow across the room, making everything feel slower, warmer. He turned slightly, glanced at me. I looked up, just for a second. Our eyes met. And something flickered. Not lust. Not yet. But curiosity. Recognition. Like we both realized we weren't playing the roles we were supposed to anymore. "Do you want the remote?" he asked, voice low. I shook my head. "I'm fine." But I wasn't. My skin felt warm, my breath uneven. He sat down beside me, not close, but not far either. We watched the news, neither of us really paying attention. At one point, I shifted, and my knee brushed his. I pulled away quickly, mumbling an apology. He just smiled, gentle, unreadable. "Are you cold?" he asked. I nodded before I could stop myself. He stood, walked over to his bag, and came back with a hoodie. Held it out. I hesitated. Then took it. Our fingers touched. Just barely. But enough. He didn't pull away. And neither did I. I wore that hoodie the rest of the night. Not because I was cold. But because it smelled like something I couldn't name. Something safe. And wrong. And real. I couldn't sleep. Not even a little. The room was dark, quiet, and warm. But inside me, there was a storm. Liam had fallen asleep quickly, back turned, breathing steady. I lay beside him, wide awake, heart pounding like it didn't belong to me anymore. I kept my eyes on the ceiling. Counting breaths. Fighting thoughts. Losing. That brush of his fingers earlier, so small, so innocent. It shouldn't have meant anything. But it did. It meant too much. I told myself I was overthinking it. That I was tired. That I missed my husband. That I missed being seen. But none of those things were entirely true. Especially the last one. Because tonight, I wasn't invisible. He'd looked at me. Really looked. Like I was more than Jake's wife. more than the quiet woman who blended into the walls. And when our knees touched, when our fingers met, I didn't flinch. I wanted to. But I didn't. I lay there, wrapped in Liam's hoodie, breathing in something I knew I had no right to crave. Warmth. Attention. Possibility. I closed my eyes and whispered to myself, "You're his stepmother." Over and over again. As if the words could erase the way he made me feel. It didn't work. Because under that shame, buried deep in the silence, was something darker. Something truer. I didn't just want to forget what happened earlier. I wanted more. And that terrified me more than anything. I was about to turn off the bedside lamp when I heard his voice. "Rachel," he whispered. I froze, one hand still hovering over the switch. Liam was sitting up now, legs crossed, eyes shadowed by the low light. "I can't stop thinking about earlier," he said. I wanted to stop him. I should have stopped him. But my body stayed still, locked between fear and something dangerously close to wanting. "I know it was wrong," he added, "but when you wore my hoodie, I couldn't breathe right." My throat tightened. My chest ached. Then Jake's name flashed on my phone screen. Incoming FaceTime. I jumped, fumbled, pressed decline with a trembling thumb. The moment shattered like glass. Liam stood. I backed toward the wall. We didn't speak. But the air between us vibrated. "He's calling," I whispered. Liam nodded. He always does, when you finally feel something. His words sliced deep. Too close to the truth. He stepped forward, slowly, cautiously. Not to corner me. But to ask, without asking. I should have said no. I should have reminded him. "I'm your stepmother." But instead, I let him touch my hand. Then my face. And when he leaned in, I didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't stop the kiss that followed. It wasn't rushed. It was slow. Devastating. Like we both knew we were tearing open something we couldn't sew back shut. When he pulled away, I saw it in his eyes. The knowing. The need. The danger. And all I could think was, why didn't I walk away? I woke before the sun. Not because of guilt. But because I didn't know who I was anymore. The room was quiet. Too quiet. Liam was still asleep, his breath soft and steady. His hand rested near the space where I had lain. Like he expected me to still be there. I sat up slowly. My robe was on the floor. His hoodie was still wrapped around me like a memory I didn't want to return. I slipped into the bathroom, turned on the faucet just enough to make noise, and stared at myself. There was no lipstick. No smudge. No clue. Except the look in my own eyes. Wide, red-rimmed. And utterly foreign. When I came back, Liam was awake. He didn't speak. Just reached for his phone and pretended to scroll. I pretended not to notice. As I packed my bag, I caught him rearranging the pillows. He smoothed the dent where my head had been. Straightened the sheets. Folded the edge like a hotel maid. It was such a small thing. But it felt like erasing me. Jake met us downstairs in the hotel lobby. Fresh coffee in hand, still in his scrubs. "You two okay?" he asked. "Didn't sleep much," I replied. "True enough." Liam just nodded, eyes locked on the floor. Jake leaned in to kiss me. I flinched. Just barely. But I did. I don't think he noticed. Later, at breakfast, I stared at the lipstick mark on my coffee cup. Wiped it quickly. Twice. Then switched to water. I watched Liam pick at his eggs like he didn't know how to eat anymore. And for the rest of the day, we didn't touch. Didn't talk. Didn't meet eyes. But inside me, something kept whispering. This isn't over. We got home that afternoon like nothing had happened. Jake greeted us with a kiss on my cheek and a pat on Liam's shoulder. He asked how the drive was. We both said, fine. The lie rolled off our tongues too easily. That night, Jake made dinner. Spaghetti, garlic bread. The kind of meal he cooked when he wanted to feel like a family man. Liam sat across from me at the table. He didn't speak. Didn't look at me. I didn't look at him either. But I felt him there, like gravity. Pulling. Constant. Unavoidable. We passed the salad. We passed the bread. We passed around small talk and nods like we were in a play someone else had written. Jake was laughing about something that happened at work. I smiled at the right parts. Liam pretended to check his phone. No one said a word about the hotel. Or the silence. Or the kiss that never should have happened. But it lived there, between us. In the air. In the stillness. In every second of eye contact we didn't dare make. Later that week, Liam helped me carry groceries in from the car. His hand brushed mine when we both reached for the same bag. We froze. Just for a heartbeat. Then moved on. Pretending it didn't matter. Pretending we hadn't felt it. But we had. And pretending was getting harder. Because the truth doesn't stay buried just because no one speaks it. It lingers. It festers. It waits. And every time I walked past his room, I wondered if he was thinking about it too. Or worse. If he wasn't. The last time someone touched me like that was 10 years ago. I remember it clearly. Hands at my waist, lips at my neck. Not rushed, not routine. Jake used to look at me like I was everything. Now, he looks past me. Like I'm a shadow that moves when he walks by. That night with Liam, I didn't feel like a stepmother. Or a wife. Or a disappointment. I felt like a woman again. Desired. Present. Real. And I hate myself for how much I needed it. People say lines are clear. Right and wrong. Black and white. But they've never stood in a hotel room. With silence between two people. Who were starving to be seen. I wish I could say I pulled away. That I stopped it. That I regret it. But I didn't. And maybe that's the worst part. I don't want to forget. I want to feel that alive again. Even if it ruins me. I still hear his voice sometimes. Low, gentle. Asking if I felt it too. And I did. That moment didn't just change how he saw me. It changed how I saw myself. I've tried to go back. To being the quiet wife. The good stepmother. The woman who waits for permission to feel. But once someone looks at you like that, you can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. I never thought I'd be this kind of woman. But I also never thought I'd go years without being touched. Like I mattered. So now I wonder. If it had been you in that room. In that silence. With eyes asking what words couldn't. Would you have walked away? Or would you have stayed? Just 1 second longer?